Mike, I'm going to jump right into it. And the first question I have tonight is, if elected mayor, what is your plan to stabilize taxes and keep services?
Well, Lou, the first thing I would do is look for efficiencies in government. Find out where we can save taxpayer money so we don't have to cut services. I would work to build better relationships with our state partners. Nearly a quarter of our budget is from state aid, and given that the democratic makeup of our state government, I will be well in position to advocate on our town's behalf. Finally, I would be able to make sure that my behavior doesn't cost the taxpayers $1 million in legal fees. You may not know, but $1 million can pay the salary of about 20 teachers or 15 firemen or 15 police officers, and that's a huge impact that deserves to be in our town.
Great answer, Mike. Also, Mike, if elected mayor, what is your plan to ensure the infrastructure of our town is kept intact?
I would be sure our dollars are spent where they need to be spent and maximize their impact. I would also make sure that if we go after as much money as we can. I was surprised that the town didn't recently apply for the latest round of Hurricane Sandy relief funding. Rebuilding our firehouse would have been a great project for us to take on if we were awarded, but it wouldn't have came at the taxpayers' expense, and it's something that we could have done. So I'm a bit shocked that our town and our grant writers did not jump on that opportunity, and that's something that, as your mayor, I would make sure we do not let these things slip through the cracks.
And Mike, you brought up a good point. Don't you think it's time that East Haven had a full-time grant writer on both sides of government?
That is absolutely true, Lou. That is something that I've said over the past year. I believe that there needs to be a full-time grant writer, not just for the town, but there needs to be one on the Board of Education side as well. We need somebody dedicated for that position, looking for every grant that we can possibly get. There's a lot of money out there, and we need to get out there and take it for East Haven so we can take the burden off of our taxpayers when we want to do things to improve our town.
Excellent. I mean, it's very important because, as you know, as you stated in your statement before, there's so many funds available,
Absolutely.
and that's one way of helping our town grow and making it, really be the shining star of the shoreline.
Exactly.
Next question I have, Mike, is how can you make quality of life better for all residents in town?
I think the best thing that we could do to start would be to restore faith in our local government. For too long, residents haven't had a voice. It is something that will change in my administration. I want voters to know that they will have the ear of someone in town hall and that I will be there to serve them, much like a community leader. And the voters deserve someone who will listen to them and understand their concerns and not be pointed in a million different directions and end up with no answer.
And probably, as you heard from all the door knocking you've been, and I'm sure you probably walked about 10,000 streets and hit about 20,000 houses.
I'm on my third pair of shoes.
I know I've been out walking with you and a lot of the other candidates, and one of the main things we're hearing from the public is they don't feel connected to the current administration. Lack of communication. It's almost like they're saying to us, we just want to be heard. And you're out there, and I know that you're a fighter and that you'll fight for them. So can you just share with us a couple of your experiences talking to the average East Haven hardworking citizen out there trying to make a good living for their family and get a great education?
Absolutely. One of the things that's continually brought up with every resident that we speak with is that they never feel like they're heard. And it's always been a few people are ready to stand up and try and make a move for our town. But right now, with the Believe in East Haven movement that we've created, we've really gained a lot of support from many people throughout the town. So instead of people saying East Haven is too far off, too far gone, people are believing that we can change. And by doing that and people getting involved is what's really going to help overall. I mean, our town is a great town, but we can do much better.
Absolutely, I definitely agree with that. What are your priorities on education? We share that. I'm on the Board of Education, and I'm also running for re-election, so I know we've had some great conversations on this, but why don't we let you share them with our public?
I don't think we'll have enough time on this slot to talk about education if you and I continued our conversations, but there's a recent study that was released on niche.com, NICHE.com. It published its rankings of 100 school districts in Connecticut, and East Haven was ranked a dismal 99th out of 100. As a graduate of East Haven's public high school, I was shocked. I think this says it all, exactly with what our town is doing and how much neglect we have. That is why I'm committed to the creation of a universal pre-K program that will allow all students the head start that they deserve to create and fight for their jobs in today's 21st century economy. I'd like us to reduce our reliance on standardized testings and create better tools for evaluating our students, teachers, and our schools. But anything we do should be with teachers, not to them. We need to be better at valuing teachers as professionals by rewarding them for successes and encouraging innovation in our classrooms.
And Mike, as a Board of Education member, I was pleased to see that you attended the 3 workshops that we had with the superintendent of schools and the citizens of the town on the upcoming talk about the consolidation of schools, which is a very, very important subject and critical time facing our town and our district at this time. We heard from the people. We heard a lot of good points of view, and just some of your thoughts quick on that, if you would share them with us. I know we've discussed it, but we can let the public know.
No, yeah. One of the things that was most alarming by attending all 3 workshops, we knew that they were going to be similar, but by holding them in different locations, we were really expecting a little bit more turnout from the citizens, from parents, from concerned neighbors. But we really saw the same faces that were involved at all of the same facilities. A lot needs to be talked about when it comes to school consolidation. Is it a good idea? Do we have too many buildings? Yes, but we must think about the future. If we close a school now, will we be able to withstand another boom a handful of years down the road? We must make sure that we're planning for the best. We must make sure and be expecting for things to be different than they are now. For one, I stand against the instant gratification that our town has been so used to over the past decade. I'm here to buy long and sell short on East Haven and our school system. We're not going to jump up in our ratings overnight, but by closing a couple schools and expanding a couple schools, that's not going to change what the problems really are. We need to get inside the classrooms and make sure that they have enough resources to get the job done and help our children, because they're going to be sitting in these seats one day soon.
And Mike, we share a passion on this because getting back to consolidation of schools, I know that you feel strongly as I do that if a school is closed, the municipal side of government as well as the Board of Education side should have a plan as to what to do with that closed school. So we're not sitting with the problem that we have now on 200 Tyler Street over the last 18 years of this football of back and forth of what to do with it. And I know you have a vision and a plan for that, and we've shared that. And we need a good administration that will work with the Board of Education to make sure, as we've discussed. So how do you feel on that?
Exactly. There's absolutely no communication between the Board of Ed and the town side. And that's a real shame, because what happens if they're going to ask for $100 million, as they recently did with the proposal to close certain schools? They had no idea what was going to happen with the buildings that they were going to close. They didn't have any meetings or discuss any ideas on what the town could use those properties for, possibly civic use or many other things. But there needs to be an open dialogue between the board and the town, so our town is not stuck with 5 more 200 Tyler Streets for the next 18 years. And I believe with my administration, that plans to be a staple in there to make sure buildings like that do not fall apart. In East Haven, we don't have a lot of historic buildings anymore. And that 200 Tyler Street property should never be knocked down to turn into housing. It needs to stay something that's with the town. It needs to stay civic or educational or somewhere in between there, possibly in multi-use, as we had on that referendum a few years back. But we must keep the buildings that we have to show some historical faith that we have in our town moving forward.
Absolutely. And Mike, I want to thank you for answering these questions with the passion that you have.
Thank you.
And it's great to know that we have a candidate that shares a passion for education as well as the municipal side of government. We will have a couple more minutes to discuss some things, but I would like to just take this time to let Mike tell a little bit about himself for those that haven't got knocked on by his door, which, excuse me, haven't been had his knocking on their door. It seems highly impossible that he hasn't caught you home. So if you haven't met him, it's because you were out getting pizza or at the movies, because he's probably knocked on almost every door in town. So at this time, I would like to turn the forum over to Mike to let him tell a little bit about himself, his background, about his vision for East Haven, which we did cover quite a bit, but there's a lot more that he has to offer and has to share. And please, I would like you to support Michael Speer on November 3rd, 2015. But at this time, I'm going to let Mike tell a little bit about himself.
Well, thank you very much, Lou, and I appreciate your vote of endorsement. You've been great along this campaign trail, and you've done a great job as a board member. And I hope everyone re-elects you on November 3rd, because you're going to be a staple in bringing our education system to where it needs to be in the future.
Thank you, Mike. I appreciate
that. Excuse me. So with East Haven and what we're doing when we're knocking these doors and we're talking to everybody, I'm trying to not be your average politician. I don't want to just say what you want to hear. I want to say what we need and what needs to be done. A lot of people, we don't need to pacify you. You want to know where the money's going. You want to know where it's coming from. And that's what having an open government is really about. One of the things that I know that I'm planned to start the day I take my hand off the Bible from the inauguration ceremony after being elected your mayor, we're going to implement office hours once a month, most likely the last Monday of the month, that when the town hall closes, the mayor's office is open. And I will stay there all night long so that the citizens, our hard-working blue-collar residents, have time to get the mayor's ear, not just 15 people before that who will be pointed in different directions. That's the main thing that a lot of people are loving, because they feel like they have no connection with the people inside of town hall or any direct contact with the mayor himself right now. And that's something that I definitely would like to change. As for me, with my background in town, I'm a lifelong resident. Our family has lived in the same area in the center of town my entire life, and even my grandparents' entire life. I'm a fourth generation East Haven resident. I live in our family home right in the center of town. It's been passed down from generations to generations as we all grow up and move forward. There's something about the culture here. We may be labeled, we may be the butt of a joke, we may have problems, but we haven't lost the culture on the inside. And that's what we really need to ensure that stays the same. Throughout all the door knockings, I find so many neighborhoods that have similar cases as my family does. They've stayed close. Their children have moved back home and purchased a house down the road from them. Everyone's staying close, and that's what our East Haven used to be, a close-knit community. There was pride. Everyone cared and wanted to actually see what they can do to make a difference. And that's what I'm here to fight for over the next however many days. I know this will be replayed, so I actually won't say the exact day, but it's just about getting out there and talking to people and understanding what they want. Everybody, when they open their door, they might say, "All right, what is it?" And I say, "Well, I'll tell you a little bit about me, but then I want to know about you. I want to know what affects you. What in your neighborhood and your surroundings is a positive or a negative? What would help your lifestyle? What would help your neighborhood that you've been able to observe over the past few years?" So it's not necessarily always about me. I try and make it about the people, because when you're elected mayor, you work for the people, not the other way around. And somebody better always make sure that their feet are grounded, because it's an honor to be elected mayor of this town and serve the people to the best of their ability. I'm very proud to say that I come from my grandparents, Jan and Pete Lugal. Jan Lugal has been the director of the East Haven Senior Center for the past 30 years. I've grown up with the senior community since I was a little child. I've learned many great stories about our town and the way that it used to be. And one of the things that's really helped me evolve with my thoughts in East Haven is knowing that history does repeat itself, and that you can achieve great things as long as you strive for it. And that's one thing that we need to stop doing. We need to stop being okay with the status quo. We need to stop being mediocre. we can achieve more, and we will achieve more if elected your mayor on November 3rd.
Thank you, Mike. And I also would like to thank ETV for having us here tonight. And I would like to thank all the candidates that came down tonight as well. Pat Paulson, who again is running for Town Council in District 1. Pam Cofrancisco, who is running for Town Council in District 5. And Jack Stacy, who is running for Town Council in District 4. Again, I want to thank Michael Speer, our mayoral candidate, and I want to encourage all of our residents out there to vote on November 3rd, 2015. The polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And again, I'm Lou Pacelli, and I want to thank you for joining us tonight on Meet Our Democratic Candidates. Have a good evening, and God bless.
If you don't mind, I wanted to add in something else.
Yeah.
Okay,
What
gotcha.
we'll do is we'll cut it, and then we just move it over and place it where it needs to be.
Cool. All right, Mike, thank you. Are there any other last thoughts that you'd like to add?
The last thing, and how we'll end this great time here, is it is time for us all to move in a new direction in the town of East Haven. We must bring new energy and new ideas to the mayor's office. We must restore integrity to the mayor's office and our town. I will work to be sure that our town's resources are used wisely. I will end the barrage of corruption scandals that come out of town hall. Together, we can create great schools for our children that will also include the universal pre-K that I spoke about earlier, that will ensure that all of our children will have a great head start to life. As mayor of East Haven, I will have the government that is open to all residents, responsive to their concerns, and engaging in their communities. We will restore the values that makes East Haven a great place to be. I am Michael Speer, and I am ready to lead East Haven into the future. I ask you for your vote on November 3rd. You can find me right on row A with the rest of the great team that's with me. I promise I will not let you down. Thank you for having me tonight, guys.
Thank you, Mike, and vote row A all the way.